Good morning, dear audience. Good morning, everybody. Thank you so much for attending this event, to participate in this event in another episode of Advantere Talks. As you know, Advantere is a management school focused on management education through social justice and sustainability. Today, we are going to talk about employee experience. Fortunately, I have a brilliant expert with me. I would like to introduce Isis Olalla. Good morning, Isis. How are you?
Hello, Pedro. I'm very good. Thank you so much for having me today.
And thank you so much for being here with us in order to share with our dear audience your expertise about the employee experience. Let's get started. I'm going to start with a first question. Please, Isis, what are the main pillars of employee experience? Sorry.
Thank you, Pedro. So here, I think it's a very broad question, but to summarize it, we could say that employee experience is based on real experience on the employee, which means that we really need to build together the company with the employees, the journey that they are currently living in our company. And also, as well, we need to define as a company what is the future journey that we expect to create for the employees. Besides that, we also need to understand what employees value more and less in order to make reasonable decisions. And that's something that we will measure accordingly.
Okay, thank you, Isis. Please, what are examples of employee experience?
Yeah, here as well, to provide a little bit of context, I guess that depending on the company and consultancy firm, there are different ways to define and build the employee experience. That means to make the overall approach. But in my view, the more quantitative and measurable that you can create the model of employee experience, the better. Ideally, you will define the current and future journey of the employees as well as the key moments that the employees experience. And then, of course, it could be up to the top management of the company to decide where to focus accordingly, usually to a priority matrix, and then measure consistently the impact obtained according to the actions implemented.
Okay, thank you, Isis. From practical to theoretical point of view, how do you explain employee experience?
Yeah, well, in this case as well, it depends on the company or the consultancy firm, but in my view, it is a quantitative and qualitative model that will allow the HR function to really measure what are the key moments lived by the employees, and later it would allow the company to act upon them before there are any kind of issues or trouble, and this will offer solutions that are also valued and appreciated by the employees. Because here, if you let me give you an example, how many times we have seen that there is like a bowl of fruit for the employees, and in many cases, they are teleworking like 80% of the time. So sometimes this is not as much appreciated as it could be on other things. So the more that we know our employees, the better for us and as well for them. But it's a better way to invest in what they really value. And also here, I would like to point out that the main difference between the traditional talent cycle and the employee experience is that the employee experience provides the HR function with a very clear scorecard that allows to make informed decisions. So basically, instead of having the usual KPIs like learning hours, absenteeism, which are useful and we all have them, but then we would also have to provide to the executive committees the ENPS sentiment analysis of the key moments of the employees, and this would provide us with different tools to act upon these situations and go beforehand before we have any kind of issues and go with specific actions that would improve them.
Thank you, Isis. I suppose human resources experts are listening to us, and I would like to give you an advice about what creates a great employee experience.
Okay, here, of course, there are many kinds of approach, but if I have to summarize or pick just a few of them, I would say that it's key to take into account the first hand the feedback provided by the employees, as well as build the employee experience model with a solid communications campaign, and and explain the different steps follow. And I'm here speaking about the communications campaign because I really believe that in the HR world, we usually do a lot of things, but we forget about communicating them. And it's key, both parts are a very key part of the equation, and we need as much as to do as to communicate so that everyone knows about them and they use them. And besides that, I believe that it's also important that the employees see this as a project led by top management and not only from the HR department, okay, to have a more powerful approach.
Thank you, Isis. And finally, the last question. How do you provide good employee experience, please?
Okay, here I would say that besides building the model with the support of the employees and also measuring the key moments, as we have mentioned, we also need to really act upon the results, which is the part where usually there is little done. And we also need to do so to consider first launching quick wins within the first 3 months after having this measurement, and later complementing these quick wins with additional actions so that the employees can also feel the change. And obviously we also need to measure later to see the impact. And of course during all the process, since we start creating and building the X model until we launch different actions, to keep on communicating on what are we doing and why are we doing so.
Well, thank you so much, Isis, for being with us, for sharing with our audience your expertise and your real approach for about employee experience. Thank you so much again. And in short, I suppose the employee experience is a relevant tool to improve talent rotation and talent development. Okay. Dear audience, thank you so much for participating, for attending this special event in Advantere Talks. We will see you again next January to talk about another episode of Advantere Talks. In this case, I think it's a good month to talk about compensation. I think it's a good month to talk about salary, and to negotiate with our boss, the next salary of the next year. And finally, I would not like to end this talk without wishing you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Bye bye.